The Wednesdays are Federal Way Youth Symphony rehearsal. On November 3rd was a theater rental, Ron Podmore's documentary. On Saturday, November 4th was the Native Comedy Jam. On Sunday, November 5th and 6th was the U.S. Army Band. The 5th, they came in, loaded in, set up, did a tech rehearsal, and then performed on the 6th. On November 8th, again, is the Youth Symphony, and then we're going to go all the way to the 12th. November 12th was Late Night Catechism. That was a ticketed event. November 14th was the Federal Way Symphony. And then November 15th was Jake Shikambura concert. November 17th, 18th, and 19th was the WNBF World Finals. That was a 3-day bodybuilding event with close to 300 competitors from all over the world. November 21st was a youth symphony rehearsal. The 25th, we had 2 events. We had our annual free holiday movie, which this year was Jack Frost, along with Bounce House, a kids' arts and crafts, and then pictures with Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And then that evening, we had Kalimba, Earth, Wind, and Fire Tribute Band. And then November 27th was Cirque Musica, a national touring off-Broadway show. November 28th was the Federal Way Symphony rehearsal, and then the 29th was the Federal Way Youth Symphony rehearsal. The lighter blues were our event space, so that was the chamber luncheon, and then a couple meetings in the event space on the 13th and the 16th. This is the list of exactly what I just said, so I probably should have went to this slide and saved everybody a lot of time, so I apologize. Here's some photos of those events that I just described. The U.S. Army Band, the World Finals, the holiday event, and then Cirque Musica. That apparatus there is called the Wheel of Death. Great. Shows the flexibility of the PAC and what we can do and provide for the shows.
And I thought you were going to say you were on the Circle of Death and you were showing your flexibility.
No, not at all, nor was I involved in the bodybuilding competition. So. Through November, approximately 26,000 tickets sold for theater events. And then this is, again, something new, provide the good and the bad. So these are some great words that our team has received from Staff Sergeant Ward Yeager with the U.S. Army Field Band, Chris Sigmund with Kalimba, and then Matt Charkow with the Gersh Agency. That was in regards to Cirque Musica that we held on November 27th. This is our matrix and data for marketing of what we did in the month of November. Very self-explanatory. With the website, the analytics, where they're coming from. I'll be very honest with you, this is not my strong suit. So if there's questions, I will have to get those answers to you and get back to you if there's any specific questions in regards to the analytics on our website.
Just one can you go back to the analytics for just a second?
Sure.
Yes, one question there on new users and total users, new users, and this may be one of the questions that you need to get back to us on. I don't know. It says new users 11,084, total users 11,954. So is that saying that there were only about 800 return users, something like that? Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% accurate.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
So more marketing statistics, just with where we are at with our email database, our open or click rate and click-through rate. email direct revenue. How we track that is hopefully everybody on the council gets our emails, and there's a link in there when we announce an upcoming show or an on-sale date or those types of things. There's a click or buy tickets now, so it can be direct revenue, and we can immediately track that. So from those emails, we generated $15,537 in November alone. And then some Facebook marketing that we had in the month of November as well. Our revenue statistics for the month of November, where we were with ticket revenue, where we were year to date, and then the projected through December. Obviously, we are in the first week of January, and we're finalizing our December financials as we speak. So, but where we are, we have met or exceeded all of the metrics that were set forth. But here's the breakdown for specific revenue for November. And then our hotel partners that we have involved at the PAC is the La Quinta and the Courtyard. And when I say the partners, we obviously want to include all of the hotels, but we have direct partnerships with these two flags for discounts as well as tracking metrics that we can see with their sales department and a direct correlation of room nights for folks that either attend events at the PAC or are involved with the events at the PAC. And some of those metrics are here on the next slide with 103 hotel room nights in November just at the La Quinta alone. That kind of bottom or middle portion, that is something that we added and worked with the Courtyard by Marriott. So that's directly on their booking page, and their website is a direct link, and as you can see, be entertained at the Federal Way Performing Arts and Event Center. So continuing to build those resources with our hotel partners. And then this is what we have upcoming in the month of January. So this week, January 11th, we have Alex Zerba. The 13th, we have a all-day church event. On Monday, the 15th, the City of Federal Way MLK event. National Event Pros, we have a 5-day event, January 17th through the 21st. Lennar Northwest is on January 24th. Jamie Lissau is a comedian on January 26th. The Federal Way Symphony on January 27th. And then we have a Keller Williams breakfast on Monday, January 29th. And then our Federal Way Youth Symphony rehearsals are weekly. They're not every Wednesday this month because of other events, so we continue to work with them and shift them to either a Tuesday, a Thursday, or a Monday, so with their flexibility. Any questions?
Right, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah. First, I'm liking how you guys have been changing the reports. It's becoming, in my mind, more informational, and it makes it a lot easier. I really like the colors, and I like the hotel economic impact. That's huge to me. I have a couple questions. The first one is, when we see the revenue breakdowns again, is that gross, or is that after like promotion cost, or promoter costs and stuff are taken out?
That's gross revenues.
Okay, gross revenues. I do know that President Kochmar at one point had mentioned that we wanted to start maybe seeing some of the net profits and net expenses for the PAC. And I'm currently able to sometimes getting the PAC financial statements, which is way deeper, dive into the data and stuff like that. At the PAC, who do you guys meet with to review those statements, or do they just get sent in? And is there a review of those statements with the city?
So we review them internally, corporately with ourselves.
Okay.
And then they get submitted to John and Autumn
Okay.
in the Parks Department.
Gotcha.
As well as the Financial Department, which is Chase and Steve Groom and whomever else. And then we do have discussions on a monthly basis, usually with Autumn, and with Chase or Steve, depending on what the high level of those questions are.
Okay.
Or inquiry is.
Gotcha. Then a quick one to John. If I look at it and I have questions, should I reach out to you first then?
It'll probably be Autumn. She works more closely with the PAC than I do, but I'm always happy to be in the room.
Okay.
And, yeah,
I'll be talking to you soon then.
you're welcome, Autumn.
All right, thank you. I think that's the main questions I have. Thank you.
And Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for holding the event for the movie and the crafts and Santa for the kids in the community. It's my second time at least, or maybe third time going, and we could have more people turn out, but there's a lot of kids that turn out, and a lot of parents, and I think it's a great event for the community. So thank you for doing that, because I know that you don't have to do that, and I appreciate that you do that. I was there for several events the last couple of months, and the Army Field Band was amazing, except for the parking. So I've talked to you about that already. And parking's going to be an issue no matter what. It'll continue always to be an issue at the PAC. But maybe if they could move their buses next year and put them across the street so people can use those parking spots, and they don't take up all of that 15 or 20 parking spots that they took up. Congratulations to the Federal Way Corral for having a sold-out event. That was amazing. It was a great concert, too. And naming the PAC, we haven't heard about that lately. Do you have any updates on that?
So I'll kind of go in order. Yes, parking, I think, is a great problem to have. That means that we have a full house. People are attending. We continue to do a better job, I think, of what we did historically, putting out additional signage and informing patrons that when the lot is full, there's an overflow lot that is down by the Walmart parking, and putting up sandwich boards, as well as we are looking into communicating that on our print at home tickets and through our website communication with ticket buyers when they buy tickets, if it is a ticketed event. And yes, with not only the U.S. Army Band, but some of those other shows that we had in November, there's 1 or 2 tractor trailers, 1 or 2 buses, and it's always a challenge because the buses, especially with the artist bus, they need to be close by the loading dock, so they do take up, parking. With the U.S. Army Band, that specific one, we were under the impression there was only 1 bus,
Oh.
not 2 buses, and then another bus came from a
Canada?
senior housing
Oh,
group that they brought a busload of individuals. So we just have to do a better job of communicating with those larger groups and finding alternative parking for those buses so it doesn't take up 15, 20 parking spots, because we only have 172 spots at the PAC, and then 8 ADA spots. And when you factor in artists or like the Corral, when they were there, there's 65 singers. Most all of them travel by themselves, so half of your lot is full at 12 noon when they're rehearsing for a 4:30 concert. So that we just continue to try to accommodate and inform folks of where there's additional parking without getting in trouble and pointing them in a direction where they're not supposed to park. And then lastly, with the naming rights, it has been stagnant, unfortunately, but we have and are hiring a corporate partnerships person that will be on site at the PAC, that they will 100% be their goal and objective, and they will still have the resources of corporate, but it's not somebody that's working on multiple projects. They are going to be designated and specific to the PAC. So that position will be posted this week, and we hope to have somebody on board in the next 2 to 3 weeks after it gets posted.
so you're hiring a full-time person just to try to get the naming rights for the PAC?
Not only naming rights, but as well as other corporate partnerships and advertising, whether it's through food and beverage, whether it is to a bank sponsoring a series or a concert series or what have you.
And how much is that gonna cost to hire someone like that? I mean, are they gonna bring in the money to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, based on, the market research that our company does and looks at is the salary, what they bring in would be 3 times of what you pay them. So to give you an actual, like what it would cost or what that starting salary would be, I don't have a number for you. The minimum state statute is for a non-exempt employee, I think is 68,000 plus benefits. So that would be the minimum.
Okay. Also, for the Army Field Band, it was a free event, but you needed a ticket. And was that something that the city sponsored?
Yes.
So then, my suggestion to the city is that we advertise it a little bit better next year, even though it was sold out, all the seats were taken. I heard from a number of people after we put pictures up on Facebook that they would have loved to have been there. And I heard that last year too. So I don't know how we can advertise it more, but I'm sure we could, especially since it's our program. So it would be up to us to do the advertising. But John, I think that we should definitely let more people know about it. And is it possible to get them for 2 nights, or is it just the one night that?
So in multiple nights, it varies. And what we did with the U.S. Army Band is there was 664 tickets available, because that's what the pack holds. Based on experience and based on information or feedback from the U.S. Army Band, we actually had available 785 tickets. So because it's a free event, people don't show up. So we wanted to maximize the number of people that were there without jeopardizing or going into breaking any laws or overages for the capacity overage. So based on that, that's historically what the U.S. Army Band, when they do it all over the country, that's what has been done at the PAC in the past. I don't know the exact dollar amount of what we spent on advertising, but I can get that and where we advertised, and maybe there's other opportunities that we can continue to tell it and advertise differently in the future.
Okay, so, but if we could get them for 2 nights, is that possible?
It just depends on where else they're going or what they're doing or what have you.
Okay.
So,
I mean, they seem to like us.
yeah, they do. Yep. Yep.
At least they say so.
It's great. And we were the first performance that the United States Army Band and the Canadian Band played together. So we were their first show on their tour together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were really good. And then the last thing I'd say is, I have seen the little signs that say parking, overflow parking, and point to the Walmart site. Most people don't understand where that is. And until we get people used to the fact that they can park over there, because originally we were gonna buy that lot over there until we ran out of money for the PAC. Maybe there could be a staff person or a volunteer, someone showing people, just directing people over there so that they actually understand it's across the street. And my other question with that, what about security over there? So if I leave my car over there, security-wise, is it okay? And I know you're speechless on that because even the PAC parking lot has issues, so I understand.
So we do not have a security person that is dedicated to that lot. From that the PAC pays or anything like that. We currently do not have that. It's something that we can look into and see like what that cost or additional cost would be with our security company that we use. So I don't believe there's cameras over there, but I don't know, that would be a question for the city.
Okay,
Or not, but that's where we're at.
because that is a concern of some folks I've talked to. They would rather find other areas to park than to park where they don't feel secure.
Yeah, and we hope, again, with additional communication with a overview map of when they buy their ticket, additional parking here, on that print-at-home sheet, that will help kind of guide those folks instead of a sign with an arrow.
Okay, all right, thank you, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Brian. A couple of questions, kind of back to parking, and I guess this would probably be more a question for John, I think. You know, it's going to be some time before the area there is developed, and some of the parking lot going over towards the old Target, that middle area there, I mean, a lot of parking lot there. Why are we not opening it up and using it for packed parking?
I need to get back to you on that. I'm not 100% sure what, if Autumn or Brian might know the answer to that, since I don't off the top of my head. Feel free, Autumn.
One of the reasons why we haven't opened that up in the past is the lack of lighting and security over in that spot. Our overflow lot is an agreement with Walmart and the city in order to have those overflow spaces, but it's technically their lot over there. The Target lot that's now empty is completely black. So outside of renting lights every time we open up that lot and then having additional security, it's something that we've shied away from. But it's certainly something we could look into, and we could speak with community development about if that would be a potential and if there's any uses between now and the time development happens. But it's more been for security issues over there.
I also would add, thank you, Autumn. I think there's also some concern about the levelness of the pavement over there and potential trip hazards inside that temporary fence that would be potentially not a smooth area to park.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the first area there is, as you get over further towards the old Target, it gets increasingly uneven, but that first area, I haven't seen, you know, I haven't walked the whole thing, but I think it's something that we should take a look into. And because realistically, it's probably going to be a year or so that before, at least a year or so before anything actual development is going on, groundbreaking. And
Let me
so-
ask you a few questions, and I will get back with you on that
Okay.
question.
All right, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And Brian, back to the events that were there, that's upcoming ones. If you can go back to the previous slide. Just so I have a better idea of what kind of events we are getting. Most of them are self-explanatory. National Event Pros and Lennar Northwest. What kind of events are those?
National Event Pros is a private event it is a company, Sonabello. It's their year-end awards banquet, and they're in there for 5 days.
Okay.
Lennar Northwest is a private business. I think it's a 150-person breakfast for their 2024 mission kickoff 2024 event.
Okay. So the national event, basically a convention type thing then for,
National Event Pros, it's got the potential of a convention because it's multiple days, but it's 150 people in a
Okay.
company that
okay.
has a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
So, all right.
It's-
All right, we
it's
can
five-day
use,
rental.
we need more companies like that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, this is their second year here. So we worked with them last year. The team did a wonderful job and was very easy to rebook them for this year.
Are
All
they
right.
a local company?
Yeah, they have offices in Renton, Bremerton, like that. And then National Event Pros is out of Seattle.
Seattle.
And then folks that are attending they do a streaming things, and they're from all over the world. That some people will be streaming this event. Just think Golden Globes, like that's the style of award ceremony that they're doing for their best, sellers and what have you within their company.
So they don't have hotel rooms?
They do, but I think most of them are in Seattle.
Oh,
Because this is one portion of their week-long festivities. They also are doing multiple things at the hotel with high-end dinners and cocktail receptions and that stuff as well.
awesome.
All right. All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your
I-
report.
I have one more question on parking. So the area, the shopping center across the street from the PAC is much closer than the Walmart parking area. You don't have to cross 324th. Do we pay to use the Walmart area?
I believe there's an agreement that pays a small amount of money monthly, but I could be wrong on that. I'd need to check unless one of you know.
Well, could
I don't
we
know.
transfer that amount that we're paying for the Walmart area to the, across the street where it's closer and probably,
By the Punjabi place and that?
yeah.
That place is always busy. Every time I'm over there, it's very busy. I don't know if they would. We could ask a question, but they seem to be doing booming business there themselves. In fact, Brian has rented to them several times. But I can certainly check and see. I don't know if they would make it available. It's for their customers, so. I'm not sure, but we can ask some questions.
It would be nice to, because I do see people parking.
Oh,
there,
absolutely.
so
Yeah, I think there's people parking there
But if-
for
As
it,
it is.
as it
If
is,
we
yeah.
could get more spaces there, and especially for the times we know that we're going to need them, it would be a good situation for all around.
I'll certainly ask some
All
questions
right,
about that.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank
We
you all.
appreciate it. Okay. And Autumn? All right. Item C, Global Kitchen DBAK Catering Amendment to Amended Term Services Compensation for Dumas Bay Center.
All right. Good evening, Council President Kochmar, Chair Walsh, and council members McDaniel and wherever Susan went. Hello. The policy question that I bring to you this evening is, should City Council approve Amendment 2 for catering services to the Dumas Bay Center? This is a very straightforward amendment. Two of the three items, the term and the compensation are being increased so that we can continue to operate and do business. The third item, the amended services, I'll give you a very quick breakdown. Pricing, product, and staffing. This will give the Dumas Bay Center a lot more control over all three items. It's going to benefit the Dumas Bay Center, our caterer, and our customers to kind of open up this ability.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, only question I have is, I believe we voted on this before, so what, is the price stay the same? You guys extended again? Because I know last time we extended, we increased the price, so what is the difference between that extension and this extension?
That is correct. The previous amendment expired December 31st of last year. So this is extending the length of the contract, but it's also, once again, bumping up the amount of compensation just to account for a whole nother year. The last amendment was to make up for not knowing how much we would make. Now I have a better idea of what will actually amount to total-wise.
Okay, and just for verification, so the amount that we have here approved is approved for you guys to do business with them, but once we hit that number, if you guys have more business and it hits that number, then you guys come back and then we make an adjustment again?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
So just giving you a little bit more room to play with for additional services?
Gives us a bit more wiggle room.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed amendment to the January 16th, 2024 regular council meeting consent agenda for approval.
And I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
Good evening.
All right, and next, let's see, item D, Axon Contract Amendment 1. And it looks like Commander Buchanan.
Good evening. I'm Kyle Buchanan. I'm a commander with the police department. First, I want to say thank you for the recognition at the beginning of the meeting for the National, or the Police Officers Appreciation Day, so thank you for that. Question I bring to you is, should the City Council approve Amendment 1 to the Axon Agreement to increase services and compensation in order to implement new software for the police department? A little bit of background on this. Forever, the police department has been using hard copy paper forms for most of our internal reviews that we do. And so what happens is the review form is done by a supervisor, sent through the chain of command, and then the hard copy forms are filed away in file cabinets. And often these are very thick packets of paperwork, and we have to retain these packets and reviews for a number of years. Usually it's about 6 years but it depends on what we're doing. So we're quickly running out of space, and it's also time-consuming for us to do any sort of research. So if we have a public disclosure request come in or an annual report that we have to do, I have to go through and manually do a hand count of every one of these forms and look through every single form. We already have Axon for our body cameras. We're already in an agreement with them. This Axon Standards is already included with them, but they do charge an implementation fee in order to build the software program specifically for us. So we are asking for, or I am asking for, it's a total of $34,351.20 to do that. They're going to split that up over 5 years. It'll just be included in the annual payment that we pay Axon now. Same, coming from the same fund, the Traffic Safety Fund. So that comes out to $6,870.24 per year. Any questions?
So, Councilmember McDaniel.
A couple quick ones. So I read through some of the standards for the software, and I just want to make sure, is this being used for strictly internal use, or is this for like ticketing purposes too?
It's strictly internal.
Okay, and then it looks like it's form software that has a database that you guys can then pull queries against to speed up your processing
Correct.
time and stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything other than the internal forms and stuff like that this software will be used for?
No.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
So it sounds to me like that the man hours spent trying to research that would probably be the savings will be a lot more than the expenditures. it
Yes,
sounds like.
by a great amount, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, Council President.
I'm
Coach
just
Mark.
trying to visualize how this works. So you scan in the document, correct? And then it goes digital. Do you still have a paper document?
With Axon Standards.
Uh-huh.
We're not going to be scanning anything in. Everything will be entered directly
it'll be
into the
directly
computer
entered.
program.
Okay.
And then it will all be routed up to the chief and wherever it needs to go via that computer program.
So then how do you index it? Do you give it a cross-reference number and with a title, or?
Yeah, it's all stored based on, the type of form that it is, the category that it is. And then it's stored on a cloud that Axon holds. It's the same cloud that they hold all of our body camera videos on right now.
So if you want to find something very quickly and can you use it, do a word search, or?
You can do a word search, you can search by the
Interesting.
officer involved, you can search by the type of incident, you can, pretty much any box that we fill in on this form, we can search that box and find whatever we need to find,
Interesting.
much
Thank you.
quicker.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed amendment to the January 16, 2024 consent agenda for approval.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Hey, Mary, can we check just to verify, to see if by any chance Lydia is online? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next is item E, Arts Commission 2024 contract for services funding recommendations. I believe Kevin Hutchinson?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Committee Chair Walsh, Council Vice President Kochmar, Council Members McDaniel and Honda. My name is Kevin Hutchinson, the Recreation Manager and also the Arts Commission Liaison, Staff Liaison. I have our Vice Chair here, Karen Brigado, who can help me answer any questions you may have regarding the contracts for services. The policy question you have in front of you is, should the City Council approve the Arts Commission 2024 contract for services local arts grant funding recommendations? There are no direct physical impacts to the city besides the $42,500 general fund that is granted to the Arts Commission every year. Some background information on this is that these contracts for services are granted to local arts programs, performing arts programs, in the federal way to help them and their budgets to perform hopefully in federal way as well. This year we had 8 programs that applied. 7 were awarded. Center Stage Theater, the Federal Way Chorale, Jet City Chorus, Federal Way Symphony, the Federal Way Youth Symphony, Rosebud Theater, the Auburn Symphony was not awarded, and the Federal Way Lions were all awarded. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and Karen is here as well.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So for the, let me go back to the slide that I can read. Auburn Symphony. Did they apply? I can't, it's really hard.
They did, yes.
And are they playing still at the PAC?
They are, yes.
And the decision to not fund them was because,
The Arts Commission decided that since they were not a Federal Way local program, and Karen can answer more, that they would not be awarded. I think
I don't
they
have a
heard-
problem with that.
Yeah.
I know that there are some other arts groups that have been asking why
Yes.
they were funded in the past.
Right.
So I'm sure they'll be happy to see that they weren't.
Yeah, I
funded
think
this
a
year.
lot of the feedback that we got from the local organizations over the years, why are they being funded and we're not getting as much funding? We heard those recommendations, they heard those recommendations and acted accordingly, but Karen, if you have anything else?
Also, Auburn didn't need the money. To be plain about it, Auburn gets a lot of money from the city of Auburn, as Kent does, as all of them do. And we had limited funds. So that's what we decided to do, and they were okay with that. They actually performed several concerts here using our PAEC, and each one has been a marvelous concert. And they did not feel bad about not getting money this year because of our limited funds.
So if you could, Karen, as a member of the Arts Commission, how much money would you want for contract for services? If you could just ask us for anything.
You really want to get into budgeting? Okay.
No, I just want, so we have, I think it is important to support our local groups, and I understand that over the years, this amount hasn't increased. And I was on the Arts Commission for a number of years before I became a council member, so I understand the whole process.
It needs to at least double. Auburn Symphony gets from the city of Auburn $80,000. That's twice our complete budget, just to let you know.
Do you know if these groups are getting other grants from other organizations?
Yes, a lot of them do. They get them from King County, the ArtsWA, and they have to. What is missing here is the private foundations. They have not bounced back from COVID or whatever, and so there's really no private arts foundations to gather money from. So a lot of these groups, you notice the one group that's not there is the Harmony Kings. Barbershop is not there. They've not asked for funds. I don't know where they stand.
Did you reach out to them?
No, they just did not apply. So, that's
Interesting,
exactly. And it's always the ones that aren't there that we worry about.
right? That's pretty interesting, okay. All right, thank you.
Right, Council President Hochmar?
So, hi Karen, so how do we start a private arts foundation?
We have a private arts foundation here, Arts Foundation Federal Way. Their emphasis right now is Arts for Youth, but they are revamping their goals, and I believe that they could be looked at, especially with King County's voting in the extra 0.1% sales tax to go to science and arts. That will be about $100 million a year. They see that their role will be growing. And so I
So
have.
I would think, I don't know who they are, I somehow, I don't,
They took over the Coalition for the Performing Arts.
is that what it
old
is?
one. Yeah, and they've got a board, and they're moving. I think on their board, there's Mary Gates and Jeannie Burbidge.
now I get it.
Right.
So now I'm tracking. So, yeah, they should be able to apply for grants. From
Yes,
private
especially since the
foundations.
grants. Right, in downtown core in Seattle gets most of the grants. I think their emphasis is to have it go around Seattle instead of the Seattle Central in King County.
Yeah.
And we're all looking forward to that. Extra money coming in next year. It will be administered through For Culture.
Okay, so is there anything the city can do to help them in their efforts?
to get grants from other places. They're doing all that they can.
Okay.
What would be helpful, of course, is to increase our budget. So,
We got that one.
Yeah,
I think
I
the
know.
last time you asked was 25,000, but, okay.
Exactly. I think I asked for $2.50 per capita from the general fund, which I'm kind of sticking with because Kent gives theirs $2.50 from the general
Gotcha.
fund.
Okay, thank you.
That's why.
Right. All right,
I
any
have
other?
one more
Oh,
question.
yes.
For For Culture, what kind of funding do they give the city right now?
Individual groups can apply. So all of them have applied to For Culture and receive For Culture grants. I'm not quite sure who does not receive one. Center Stage, Rosebud, all of them receive For Culture grants.
So is the city not applying for For Culture, John? We used to,
Yes, we always go
for
for full.
Red, White, and Blues, right?
Red, White, Blues, and other items, I believe Cassie Swan, Arts Coordinator, applies.
So can the Arts Commission apply to For Culture for funding? We used to, when I was on the Arts Commission, we were told we couldn't, but is there a reason that they couldn't be applying?
I will check on that and get back with you.
Okay,
I will help him.
thank you.
I was always told that if the Arts Commission wished to submit a grant to anybody, we would have to ask you if we could, and then you would have to approve it, and it would have to move to city council, and it would have to be approved. It's like a 3-month process for something that has like a month window. So that's probably why we don't apply.
All right, thank you. Right, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yes. I move to forward the proposed Arts Commission's 2024 contract for services funding recommendations to the January 16th, 2024 consent agenda for approval.
And I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it carries unanimously. All right, and right back again on the item F, Arts Commission 2024 Work Plan.
All right, thank you. I'll be up here for a couple more, so bear with me. The policy question you have in front of you today is should the City Council approve the Arts Commission 2024 work plan? This one has 0 financial impacts on the city. The background, the 2024 work plan sets the goals and priorities for our Arts Commission for the incoming year. At our December 7th meeting hosted at Dumas Space Center, the commission reviewed and approved this work plan that you have in front of you. Some of the highlights include the Arts Explosion, which is the largest event that the Arts Commission puts on by far. We have our traffic graphics throughout the city that we work on every year, try to do 2 of those per year. Our Summer Sounds concert, which the Arts Commission supports, our holiday tree lighting event, and then supporting our local arts group through the Contracts for Services programs.
All right, any questions? Okay, Councilmember Honda?
So I like your statement about working within your budget. So that's awesome. But I want to know how realistic that is for the Arts Explosion. I know that our commission went out and sought grants for that and donations for that. Are there any other programs in here that they're going out seeking outside money for?
Yes, so we seek outside money for the summer concert series, the holiday tree lighting. We look for sponsorships throughout the community. I know with the Arts Explosion program, we also look for sponsorships as well. And I think the Arts Commission itself looks for outside funding for that through grants and other means that they vote for.
So I'll say what I've said before about commissions. If we approve the commission work plans, I think that as a council, we need to approve the funding for what they're doing and not expect that the commissioners go out and seek grants and donations. I don't think that was really something we ever anticipated commissioners doing, and this isn't the only commission that does that to support their programs. So I appreciate what you do for the community, and I think you're doing a great job, but I do think that we should be supporting you better financially so that you can do the great job that you're continuing to do without having to worry about how to fund the programs you're doing. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
All right. And I'll just say I agree with that in concept, but coming up with the money is the challenge, so anyway. Definitely would be going to a good purpose, but the balancing.
I got one quick question.
Yes.
Underneath the special projects, you have co-op space Dumas Bay. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that one for me, please?
I think Karen might be the best for that one. That was kind of a newer one that we
Hi.
put on, huh?
All those under special projects, well, not all of them are new, but the one about co-op space, that was for a resident in-house. This is similar to what Kent has. They have a ranch out there where a resident and artist comes for 3 months to do nothing but create. That's what
Oh.
we want to have here at Dumas Bay.
Now, would what they create stay at Dumas Bay, or are they just using Dumas Bay as inspiration? for their
Dumas
art?
Bay for inspiration.
Okay,
So we would actually house them, feed them, and have a stipend for them, and they'd go off and create and be very thankful to the city of Federal Way,
awesome.
just
Thank you.
as they are in Kent.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. All right, do we have a motion?
Yep. Let me get the right one.
I just want to say
Oh,
that's kind of what that was used for before by the visitation nuns. They were praying on,
Getting inspiration.
yeah.
All right.
I move to forward the proposed Arts Commission 2024 work plan to the January 16th, 2024 consent agenda for approval.
And I second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries unanimously. And on to item G, 2024 to 2026 Parks and Recreation Program Guide.
Yes, thank you again. The policy question you have in front of you today is, should the city accept the proposal and enter into a contract with Consolidated Press for the printing and mailing of the 2024 to 2026 Parks and Recreation Program Guide? A little background on this one. The financial impacts here for the city would be between roughly $15,000 to $20,000 per year. That would be printing, mailing, our program guide, and our postcard that we send out to Federal Way residents, with a total for the contract of around $68,000. This includes print, like I said, bulk mailing, and then a 10% contingency for any overages that they may have. A little more background information. That Consolidated Press is, we've been working with them since, I think, 2012, have a great working relationship with them, very communicative, on time with everything. We're very happy with what they've done. The biggest change here is that we used to print 40,000 guides. This is 40,000 guides per session, actually, so we go on a trimester basis, a fall, a winter, and a spring, summer catalog. So we used to do 40,000 per session. Those were actually mailed out to Federal Way residents. The change that we started last year was mailing out just printing in-house 3,500 to stay at the community center, and then we are mailing out postcards that look just like this with a QR code that brings people online to our online catalog that we have. So we're driving more people to our online catalog, which is bringing obviously more people to our website as well, finding out more information about our programs themselves. This is following local and national trends that's happening in the parks and recreation industry. And with that cost savings that we have every year, we're able to create, print, and mail more specialized and targeted advertisements to specific user groups. And we have found that in the past year, we've seen record numbers of registrations. There's been no dip in registrations through that change, and that great feedback through the community. If people want to pick up a program guide, they're able to come into the community center and get that themselves. If someone calls and wants a program guide, we mail those out to them. So anyone that does want one mailed can get one mailed, but we are reducing those that get mailed out to the community in general. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Daniel.
Yeah. The first one, actually, that's actually a pretty cool idea. I'm glad you guys are doing that. Just out of curiosity, do you guys know what the savings was on that?
Yeah, so we are saving between $10,000 to $15,000 per year.
And you guys are able to use that for the specialized aspects then? Okay.
Yeah, and we actually haven't spent all of that. So, for example, our inclusive recreation program for Special Pops, we create a calendar that has ads in there, and we mail those directly out to them. They really like those. For our senior groups, we create these very similar, like kind of one-pagers that we have in-house for them and mail out to them as well. So, something that's more targeted to them. It's not just a whole guide with 40 pages of, information that isn't pertinent to them, so.
Gotcha. And then my second question is, I looked, and I believe this company is a Seattle-based company?
Correct.
I was just curious, do you guys know if there's any place federally or local, that's a local business that does the same level, or is it one of those you have to go to Seattle for?
Not sure on that one. I can ask around, but I just know that, we're very happy with what they've done. I think some of the ones in Federal Way might not have the capability, capacity to print so many of those things, and the high quality that we like, but, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So I like this too, that you're not mailing out as many. However, not everyone is comfortable using a QR code
Right.
or even has the ability to, they may not have a computer, believe it or not. And especially for seniors, do you make sure that you mail out without being asked? Just do it automatically to the senior center and then to the senior living facilities like Shag and Village Green so that they have at least one copy in their office?
Yeah, so our senior coordinator, we actually have a mailing list that we mail out those targeted advertisements to. So those do get mailed out to the seniors. And then our senior coordinator actually visits all those every year, brings guides, brings a lot of information, and meets with the senior living managers. That's part of his yearly tasks that he does, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And your senior trips, are you still doing those?
We are, yes.
Have they increased since COVID, or are they getting back to where they were before?
They're
COVID?
starting to get back to where they were. They're a little bit more seasonal than they were before. So in November, December, January, February, when the weather isn't as good, the trips don't get as full. But we are actually offering more overnight stays too. And then we're partnering with a travel company called Colette, where we do larger international stays to places like Costa Rica, Europe, and things like that. But yeah, they are picking back up, definitely a lot more than they were in 2021 and 2022.
That's good. Thank you.
A quick question on the, on this contract with Consolidated Press. It seems to me as though we should at least do, as Councilmember McDaniel suggested, we at least check out, see if there's any local companies that can do that.
Yeah.
And it sounds, from the pricing here, it sounds like very good pricing and everything. But it may be wise, even with this, to periodically go out to bid.
We did. So we went out to bid with
Okay, you
this.
went out to
Yeah.
bid.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you did go out to bid.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they were
very
the
well.
winning bid, yeah.
All right.
And we do work with
yeah.
other local printing companies like Fast Signs and Minutemen Press in the area for other smaller
Okay.
projects like signs and things like
Okay.
that. So we do have
So
relationships
the local
with those.
companies did not bid
Correct.
on it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, very well.
I move to forward the proposal, acceptance, and authorization to contract with Consolidated Press for Parks and Recreation's program guides to the January 16, 2024 consent agenda.
I second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, hey, thank you, Kevin. All right, and next, the last thing on the agenda, scroll up here. All right, item H, Community Center Pool Chemical Contract Amendment. And Lee Ellsworth.
Just going to ask everybody in the audience to kind of calm down back here. It's going to get a little exciting to talk about this tonight.
I'll pound the gavel if they get out of hand.
Perfect. Good evening, Chair Walsh and Council President Coach Jamar and council members and committee members. Before you tonight, I have a policy question that should the City Council authorize an amendment to the Federal Way Community Center Pool Chemical Contract. We have contracted with Orca Pacific since about 2017, and I believe even before then. And we are looking to contract with them again for the first 4 months of this year before we go out to bid for a full RFP process, in which we will look for another chemical provider. And so we need that first 4 months to kind of work through the RFP process, and we will continue with this amendment with them providing pool chemical services to us.
All right, Councilmember Daniel, do you have a question or a motion?
Question. I got a-
Question, all right.
Just a few today. First question, I'm looking at, it looks like we're doing 4 months and it's 50,000 is the request, correct?
Yes.
All right, now, the attached quote, what does that actually cover? Because that's, they don't jive.
So the $50,000, this is based off of, if you see kind of the first $3.94 for the bulk chlorine, we get those in gallonage. And so if we're getting 250 gallons, it's $3.94 per gallon.
Okay.
And so it could be, if we're ordering 500 gallons plus, it could be upwards of $10,000 per order or whatever that may be.
So these are just the cost per
Yeah,
individual?
yep,
Okay, that makes
yep,
sense
cost
then.
per unit.
And the second question I had, I knew the pool was closed for a while. Did we still have this contract going and we're still getting chemicals then?
We
Or what
did
was
have the contract going. Our lap pool has always continued to be open, and this also services the spray grounds over at Town Square Park as well.
So not having the pool slide one open, there's not additional chemicals? We still ordered enough for those, or we did? That's what I don't get is not, if we didn't have the pool open on that side, but we still had the same amount of chemicals, shouldn't we have a stockpile?
We didn't have the same amount of chemicals that we were ordering, but the contract ended at the end of December 31st for 2023, and so we needed to continue the amendment for 4 months while we went out for RFP.
Okay, no, I totally get that aspect of it, and I have no problem with that one. I'm just trying to figure out if we were still paying for the chemicals that were supposed to be for a pool that wasn't being used at the time, and if so, is that not being credited, or did we have?
We ordered less amount during that time. They
Okay.
all draw from the same system, and so we have 2 large chlorine barrels. They're all 4 pumps pull from that same barrel, so they're feeding each different pools.
All right, then my last question would be is, if we would have had the other pool running at that time, how much would it have been? Would it have been more than 50,000 for the additional?
Yeah, it probably would have been more than, well, not for 4 months. That would probably be adequate. But the life of the contract, I believe, was about $600,000.
Yeah,
And so
yes, it has.
Yeah, a larger contract.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair, just for a point of clarification on that, so the $50,000 is a ceiling, what we can't go over. So, right, so
Okay, that
it's
makes-
allowing them enough wiggle room to be able to purchase what they need to on an as-needed basis for the month.
Without having to-
So that's the reason why it was set at that level.
Okay,
Okay.
that helps out a lot, thank you.
All right, so during the time that the pool was closed, we were not, but we were saving money
Yes.
on the contract at
Yes.
that time? Okay, all right, very well. All right, thank you. So we have a motion.
Yes, I move to forward the amendment to the Fedway Community Center pool chemical contract to the January 16th, 2024 City Council consent agenda for approval.
And I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries unanimously. And anything else that needs to come before the committee?
I would like.
Thank you, Leif. All right. So,
I would like to request that we get monthly updates on Dumas Bay, the rental activities there, and the theater there, who's using it, how much money it's bringing in, the expenses. We ask all this information for the PAC. I think we should be asking it for Dumas Bay and the theater there also.
right. Just question, I guess for John, with that, I mean, is my one question was, I agree we should be getting some reports from Dumas Bay, but the amount of volume that they do, would monthly or would a quarterly report be more appropriate?
Either is okay. Obviously, there's a few months in November, December, and early January are very slow. The rest of the year is much more consistent business, so, but monthly is probably okay. You want that Do you expect a report from David every time? We can do that if that's what you're desiring.
Well, I would like to, we ask, we're keeping track of what is happening at the PAC, and Dumas Bay is one of our facilities that I think we need to keep better track of. But also the theater there, we're not getting any updates on what's going on in the theater there, who's renting it, if it's being rented out. We know Center Stage is there. Does anyone else use it?
Yes, there is another
And it
church
would-
group that uses it, among others.
It would just be nice to know who's using it and how
You
they're
want that
using
monthly?
it.
I can have David come monthly.
I think so.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
sounds good.
I have a follow-up question on that one. I know with the PAC, we do get a nice statement, financial statement, but since that's an internal city control room, do you guys, how does that broken out, that little division has its own little separate one, or does it just fall underneath the parks under?
Absolutely, it has its own budget. Yeah.
Okay.
And you should be getting those monthly financial reports. It has Dumas Bay wrapped up in that. So I believe that's all in there. But we can certainly do something along the lines that the PAC does.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. If nothing else,
I was just going to say, bring all your friends with you when you come back.
yeah, only tell them not to be quite so boisterous. So anyway, all right, if nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.